Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Oh, from wherever you are watching us from. This is Rosalo, and here we are about vulnerability, acceptance, and hope. It is good to have you here. It's such a privilege. I have to remove my glasses because where I realized it's like I'm not seeing this place carefully, clearly. So it's such a privilege and honor to have you here. So karibuni sana, those of you that are new here, karibu sana. It's such an honor for you to choose to be a follower of this YouTube channel. Here we are about vulnerability, acceptance, and hope, and it is good to have you here. I know for sure that I have been saying that I will be here and I have not been coming. Let me tell you, it is not easy to be a mother of 5. I am just realizing, do you know, one of the greatest things I am learning that parenting is not easy. Parenting, what? Whew, I am a mother of 5, so I am parenting one Gen Z, Generation Z, and 4 alphas. And I'm telling you, it is not easy, but it is doable. So thank you so much again for choosing to be here. Again, the mood at which we have started with, you can actually tell that yes, we live what we say, that we are about vulnerability, acceptance, and hope. And that said, today in the morning, I was just reading the scriptures, reading. And then something just struck my head like it has never before. So I have been focusing on the leadership transition between Moses. Okay. In the Bible, there's a story of children of Israel, blah, blah, and how they got themselves to Egypt, and how they needed to get out of Egypt, of course, through Joseph. But now, in Egypt, another Pharaoh, the Bible, how that transition started, another Pharaoh arose who did not know Joseph. And so during that time, after that Pharaoh took power, there's a Pharaoh who favored Joseph. And because that Pharaoh favored Joseph, Joseph brought his people to Egypt. How did Joseph himself get to Egypt? Joseph was sold by his brothers. One, he was thrown in a Kishimo, Stan, whatever. And then he was rescued, sold by his brothers. And the story goes until he became the prime minister. And there was famine in the land where he was coming from, and prosperity in the land where he was. And that's how he was made the prime minister. And there was a lot of famine where he was coming from, to the point that the family migrated. And when they came, they gave birth and they became numerous. There were lots and lots of them in that land. And so when the other Pharaoh came, realized, oh, wait a minute, these Israelites have given birth, have multiplied themselves too much, and very soon they are going to overthrow us. Just imagine. Very soon they are going to overthrow us. That means the people of Egypt, or this Pharaoh, was somehow threatened by these people, that they were going to actually so he decided to overthrow them. So he decided to subject them into suffering, into hard labor, into slavery and all those kind of things. And then these people of God, the Israelites, turned to God because their descendant was Abraham, and Abraham had been given a promise by God. And so they remembered their God, and then they went to God and asked God and prayed and prayed and prayed, and called on the God Yahweh for their rescue. Now God had to raise Moses, a child who was born and raised in the house of Pharaoh. So he knew what happens in a king's house, because he was raised in that home. But this was going to be the same person that was going to rescue the children of Israel from that place and take them to the promised land, which was Canaan. Anyway, at some point before they got to Canaan, regardless of the challenges they encountered on the way, at some point, Moses died. Moses died. After Moses' death, then one of the Moses' assistants, whose name was Joshua, was going to take over from Moses to lead these people to the promised land. Ask me why Moses has not seen the promised land. We will do it in the next video, or sometime along as we continue. But this is what struck me. As I was reading that transition between Joshua and Moses, I came across actually in Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. I want to read it because it struck me. So let me read it. And this is what it says in Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. It says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Of course, Moses had a lot of leadership experience. Moses had done so many things for the children of Israel. Moses had performed the plagues. You know, God has used him during the plagues. You know, Moses' staff was turned into a snake. It would just stretching his hand, and the sea would part, and the children of Israel would go through. And then now there's this guy who has always been with Moses, okay, by the name Joshua. And then God tells him, my friend, you are going to lead these people. Now, Moses, my servant, is dead. That's how that chapter begins. Moses, my servant, is dead. So be strong and courageous. You are going to. Have I not? And I'm thinking that God looked at Joshua and he was thinking, Joshua is very terrified. Joshua is very afraid. Joshua feels unqualified. Joshua feels, I cannot do the things this might man of God was able to do. And now I am here, and God, you are telling me that I am going to do. And I think that God would actually see the fear on Joshua's face, that God would see that fear. And God looked at him and told him, be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their forefathers. Of course, that is verse 6. But what caught my attention is as God continues to speak at verse 9, he says, have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Wow. So that struck me. Because, so according to God, Joshua being strong and courageous, it was actually a command. Have I not commanded you? He has not used the words, have I not requested you? Have I not encouraged you? Have I not urged you? Have I not asked you? He said, have I not commanded you? So to be strong and courageous. For I, the Lord, will be with you wherever you go. Child of God. Child of God. Please, can you hear me and hear me well? Whatever situation you are going through right now, or whatever thing that is threatening you, threatening your career, threatening your children, threatening your marriage, threatening your progress, threatening your education, pause. I want you to know that God has commanded you to be strong and courageous. God has commanded you to be strong and courageous. And why is he commanding you to be strong, courageous? Because he promises to be with you wherever you go. That whatever you do, he will be with you. As you seek marriage counseling for your marriage, he will be with you. As you pray for your children, he will be with you. As you trust God for those children, he will be with you. As you wait for that spouse, he will be with you. You know, as you seek for that job, he will be with you. As you go for that interview, he will be with you. Have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? For I will be with you. Yani, God has just commanded us. You know, that was very encouraging. That God commanded me. God has commanded me to be strong and courageous. Why? Because he will be with you. Now, child of God, can you wake up, dust yourself, and realize that God has commanded you to be strong and courageous? Why? Because he, the Lord, will be with you. What an encouragement. And now this time, this comes in at a point where, of course, we know the scripture that says that greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Okay? So greater is the Jesus in me than anything else that is in the world. So would you wake up, wipe those tears, stop worrying about that circumstance, and know that God has commanded you is another 11th commandment. God has commanded you to be strong and courageous. For he, the Lord, as he was with Moses, as he was with Joshua, is also going to be with you wherever you go. Because your destiny is very important to God. Your purpose is very important to God. No, God did not just create you, child of God, to just come occupy space. No, 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 no. He created you to make a difference. So be courageous because the Lord has commanded you to be. See you in the next video.